ISIL is a terrorist group presenting a growing threat around the world and right here in Metro Detroit.
They view churches as a soft target.
New concerns after a local church is targeted.
He claimed he wanted to kill in the name of terror, dreamed of a day he could behead someone. The FBI arrested the Dearborn Heights man before he could act out a plan on a Metro Detroit megachurch.
And tonight, in a rare interview, Detroit's head Fed and top cop sitting down with the defenders to talk about local terror threats.
The FBI says ISIL is well-financed and well-organized, getting bigger across the country and right here in Metro Detroit. Tonight, an exclusive interview takes you inside the local ISIL threat of a megachurch. You may know them as ISIS. The federal government calls them ISIL. Both terms refer to the same terror organization that splintered off from Al-Qaeda and operates along the border of Iraq and Syria. Where Al-Qaeda thinks big like 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, ISIL thinks smaller, trying to convince as many people in Europe and America to arm themselves and kill in the name of ISIL. Almost every single week, an ISIL plot is uncovered somewhere in America.
ISIL is changing strategies and tactics and suggesting folks, they encourage them to radicalize, but they encourage them to conduct their operations here in the United States.
The feds say Dearborn Heights resident Khalil Abu Ryan was plotting to kill in the name of ISIL. His plan to shoot up Greater Grace Temple, home to thousands of local church members. Court documents say Abu Ryan told an undercover informant he bought a lot of bullets and practiced loading and reloading. He picked Greater Grace because it was close to his job and he figured no one carries weapons to church. He was certain it would make the news.
We placed 24/7 surveillance on this individual. We had a team from out of state here, as well as our own resources, and we weren't going to allow that individual to make a move.
The feds had around-the-clock surveillance watching Abu Ryan's every move. They didn't arrest him because they needed to find out if he was a lone wolf or plotting with others to shoot up one of Detroit's biggest churches.
It's very important for us to try and determine whether an individual like that is conspiring with others. So we want to take the investigation as far as we can.
If it had gone down, Detroit police would have been the first to respond.
We know, based on the thinking of, say, a terror suspect, they view churches as a soft target.
The chief says the key to successfully stopping ISIL threats is preparation and communication.
We have to share information. No longer is the option where we operate in silos.
Between law enforcement and the community.
Well, you have to be honest. There's this balance, if you will, of not creating panic. Certainly, that's not what we want to do.
Abu Ryan says his plan to shoot up Greater Grace Temple was stopped by his own father, who found his arsenal in his car. The father did not turn his son in. Law enforcement says when it comes to ISIL plots, we have to turn in suspects, even if they are our own children.
We find out through additional interviews and investigation that people had suspicions about the volatility of a particular person. So it's really important for us to get the message out there that folks should come forward and talk to us.
The FBI says ISIL is growing so quickly we should all be on alert. We should all have terror crisis plans and practice them.
We like to get with local organizations and churches, etc., and talk about what they can do to minimize the extent to which people are injured during this sort of thing.
It's a stunning warning from the people who see all the national security intelligence that more plots like Abu Ryan's will be attempted.
In terms of going forward, if we believe that we're not at war with ISIS, we are absolutely at war, and we will mitigate and address the threat as it happens.
It's not if, but when, and will we be ready?
Because in the end, police officers, federal agents cannot be on every corner, every block in any city in America.
Greater Grace Temple's Bishop Charles Ellis was shocked to find out it was his megachurch that was the target of terror.
His testimony was he was practicing loading and unloading those clips or whatever into the assault weapon or whatever he had. He had a mask there, so he wasn't just, it wasn't a pipe dream. It was something that he had intended in his heart to do.
In an exclusive interview, you'll hear his reaction, and he takes us inside his security bunker to show us how being prepared for the worst can help police and the public in an emergency. That's tomorrow night at 11 on Local 4. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.